It happened inside the assembly. It happened during 0 hour. It's not been recorded apparently. There are no visuals of it. Of course, people heard it. Now hearsay, and now it's now been transferred to the people's representative. I just wanted to understand the legal implications of it. How will this be treated? Although the FIR has been now registered under 2 sections, but how does one look at it when an elected representative does it inside the assembly?
Well, the law is very clear. It's a different thing that the police may not know about it. So the law in this country, so far as parliamentary privileges are concerned, mirrors the law in the United Kingdom. And the UK for the last 400 years has had this law that there is absolute freedom of speech in the parliament, in the sense that the speaker could always say, disallow some speech, but the freedom to speak is near absolute within the parliament. And the same law continues in India by virtue of the constitutional provisions that we have. And also in terms of the interpretation given by the Supreme Court itself, there is absolute freedom of speech. When I say absolute freedom of speech, what it essentially means is that the speech made in the parliament is immune from action outside of the parliament. It could be through defamation courts, or it could be, as just now happened, through sexual harassment complaint, FIR, and all that. So the police is completely, I wouldn't say unjustified or justified. I would say the police action is absolutely illegal in this case. And I don't blame the police if they did not know about this branch of the law. But it's important for the police to understand this branch of the law. And for that purpose, it's necessary for the state's advocate general, or for that matter, some other law officer, to inform the police that what's just been done by the police is not, acceptable at all under the constitution. Now, this does not mean that I condone whatever he has allegedly said. Nobody would. Nobody in the right mind would. And the Speaker of the Assembly, at the end of the day, is entitled to hold disciplinary proceedings against Mr. CT Ravi and then to punish him accordingly. The punishment could take the form of suspension for a very long time. So all of those processes are available to him. But this cannot be an offense under the Indian Penal Code or the now replaced BNS. So that aspect must be clearly borne in mind. Uh, you know, Public watching it might, assume and, rather feel outraged that how could someone get away by saying something like this in the assembly. To really understand why the law is the way it is, you just have to look at the kind of revolution that England witnessed when that freedom was not available to lawmakers. So, there's a very great reason. There's a historical precedent why we have that freedom.
So
So
let me understand
people,
it better, Dhananjay. So what, I mean, when you say the police were not in their, in their rights to do what they did, as in take him to the police station, for the benefit of the viewers, if you could elaborate on that aspect, please, Dhananjay.
yes. The police could not have filed a first information report. It's a different thing that somebody went and complained to the police station. That's because people, in fact, can always go to the police station and complain, irrespective of whether they have complained actually constitutes a crime or what. Because we want the public in this country to be somewhat prompt in that regard. When they believe their crime has been committed, they must go to the police station and complain. And there is, of course, there was a complaint in this case, and that's all right. But the police could not have registered an FIR in the first place. The police ought to have actually informed the complainant that this is a matter where parliamentary privileges will apply, and then there is absolute freedom of speech available to a person inside the house. When I say parliament, under the Constitution of India, whatever privileges are attached to the parliament are equally attached also to the state legislature. The state legislature would be the legislative assembly and the legislative council. So it matters not whether it is a state legislative council or it is a Rajya Sabha or it is a Lok Sabha or the state legislative assembly. So the police ought to have informed the complainant that their hands are tied and that the complainant may raise it with the speaker. So that is what the police ought to have done. Now, the police did not do so. The police registered an FIR. Now, once you register an FIR, you have to take the next steps that the FIR would require, which is to summon the person involved. Again, the police seems to have jumped the gun. Now, I've been tracking, I'm not in India at this point of time, but then I did get to see the visuals. And what I do understand is that the Lakshmi Hebbalkar's supporters really got wild, expectedly. And they would have certainly, manhandled them. And that is when probably the police must have felt, okay, take the person into custody. But strictly speaking, the law now is such that if the punishment is less than 7 years, then the police would not be justified in just arresting the accused. The police is required as a matter of law to issue summons,
Huh.
to call upon the accused, to offer an explanation, to seek an explanation from the accused, and only thereafter decide whether to arrest or not. And if at all they choose to arrest, they have to give reasons in writing as to why arrest is necessary, and not arresting him would not serve ends of justice.
You know,
So
before
this
I
is
let you
also the
go,
law.
yeah, Dhananjay, before I let you go, when you say absolute freedom inside the parliament, also to, you know, call people disparaging names, which allegedly CT Ravi did.
Yes. Now,
My God.
absolute freedom is an absolute freedom irrespective of the content. You only have to basically look at the consequence of not having this kind of a freedom. Very often there is a discussion about different industrialists. Industrialists could file 1,000 crore defamation lawsuits against whoever spoke against them within the house, and then the house members may not be able to speak freely about matters of public importance. It is that principle that allows this absolute freedom. So this might be a difficult concept for people to understand, but this is a matter, this is a core principle of our constitutional law, and it's important that we honor it. If we don't, then the consequences in some countries which chose to not honor this basic guiding principle has always been devastating. And I don't want our country to go there either. So it's important for public to realize that there is an absolute bar
Okay.
so far as prosecuting a person for what he says
All right.
inside the assembly.